am going to show you how to make this necklace using the GGC Treasure Bag Spring Splendor. It's a really pretty necklace, and I'll show you it more in detail in a couple of minutes here. Or hopefully not total minutes, but I wanted to tell you that I lost my mother on the 22nd at 2:30 a.m. and I've been a broken-hearted little zombie roaming around, so I have not been able to post a lot of treasure box tutorials. This tutorial references my mother resting because I snuck downstairs one night right after she entered hospice and she was sleeping, and I made this tutorial. So it does reference that she's sleeping, but she is gone. And I wanted to say thank you to everybody who has sent me their condolences. I haven't really had a chance to answer, just kind of avoiding doing that because every time I do, I cry. So anyway, this is what we're going to make. And just know when I reference my mom sleeping, you know, this isn't a video that I made a few days ago. So, excuse me, what we're going to use are components from the Treasure Bag Spring Splendor. We're going to use the pretty pendant that's in it and some of the charms. And this is very difficult for me to show you because it hangs really pretty when it's hanging, but when I lay it down, it's not so pretty. But these little hearts just dangle really pretty in front of the pendant. Then we've made some components and just put them together. However, if you do not have the treasure bag, this is made with very basic components and techniques. The techniques alone are something that you may want to try, so you can do that with any beads you want. So don't think that because it's a treasure bag that you are left out. You are not. And some of these pendants I do have on my website. Now again, if you make an order on my website, it's going to take me a couple of days to get it out because I'm still making arrangements for my mother and I'm still dealing with all of the emotional stuff and everything, and family coming and all that. But I do have some of these pendants and I sell them in a set of 3. So if you want one, you can get one. But this is what it looks like. It's about a 22-inch necklace, so that it hangs nice and long. You can make it shorter if you would like. I think it's 22. Let me see. Actually, it's about 21. Not quite 22 inches long. It hangs in the middle of my chest. So if you're a little bigger, you may want to make another component or whatever. It's very, very easy to modify and make it the way you want. So anyway, that's what we're going to make. So let's go ahead and look at the material list and get started. Okay, for this project today, I will be using things that are in the Spring Splendor Treasure Bag, the GGC Treasure Bag. And I will be adding a couple of things to it too. However, if you do not have the treasure bag, you can use any other beads. These are pretty commonly found beads, shapes, and sizes. So you can just use this as a techniques video and you can still make this necklace. So what you're going to need from the treasure bag, I have this pendant. Now you can use any drop pendant that you would like as long as it has a loop on top that's horizontal and not vertical, like this. So we're going to be using the purple pendant in the bag. We're going to be using some of these 8x6 geometric rondelles. You can use a regular 8x6 rondelle. You do not have to have these, and we'll use about 6 of these. And these are the ones from the treasure bag in my hand. Then we're going to use about 40 of these saucer-shaped blue or purple glass rondelles. This is a really nice quality glass bead, really pretty shape. However, you can go ahead and use a regular 4x6 rondelle, or 6x4 rondelle, excuse me. And that will work fine for the components. You do not have to have these. These are just what was in the bag. You use about 40 of those from your bag today. We're also going to use some of these little heart pendants, or not pendants, but charms that I put in the bag. We'll use about 8 of them. You can use any charm you'd like. You don't even necessarily have to have a charm, or you can even just make something. They're going to be dangles. You can make something on head pins to dangle to instead. You do not have to have the hearts. However, these are just little hearts with a little loop on top. And we're going to use about 8 of those today. Then we're going to use 4 of the 8mm round frosted glass swirl beads here. So these are just an 8mm round glass bead. You can use a drook, you can use whatever you'd like, a crystal, a pearl, it does not matter. Just, we're going to use 4 of these that came in the bag. We're also going to use some of the spacer beads that were in the bag. This is just a 4mm round iron spacer bead, silver tone. And we'll use quite a few of those. So you want to have a good little bunch, and I'll give you exact numbers in caption. Then we're going to add to the box. This is all the stuff that's in the treasure bag. I keep saying box, but it's a bag. And this is all the stuff that's in the treasure bag. We're going to add to the treasure bag some pieces of artistic wire is what I have cut. This is 22 gauge tarnish resistant silver, argent, whatever. It's silver tone. So I'm using artistic wire 22 gauge, and I have cut 3-inch pieces, and you'll need about 18 3-inch pieces. 3 inches is a little long. However, I like to have a little extra wire instead of trying to struggle with it. So you'll need about 18 pieces of wire cut. Then we're going to use some jump rings. I have some 4mm jump rings, and I have some 6mm jump rings here. And about 4, I think I'm going to use probably about 4 of the 6mm jump rings, and about 10, and I'm not positive about this because I haven't put the whole necklace together yet. So about 10 of the 4mm round jump rings, and I'm using silver tone stainless steel. So we're going to make some components. So in using wire, of course, you're going to need, I have a needle nose plier, I have a chain nose plier, some flush cutters, and a pair of round nose pliers. I'm going to push this all back, clear workspace, and we're going to come back and get started. So this is basically what we're going to do. We're going to connect components together. We're going to make components and connect them together. I have made one side so I know exactly what I'm going to need to make. And let me get you close so you can see, and then we will connect the pendant in the middle and put some dangling charms on it. But this is what we are going to make. I'm going to show you each component, and then I will show you how to make them. So we're going to make components with the purple beads, and the spacer beads, the rondelle beads, and the round beads. So you can see I have 2 purple and the big frosted round bead, and we're just going to put them directly together with a clasp on the end like this. So what we're going to do is we need to make 4 units with 4 purple beads and 2 spacer beads. We're going to build it from one end and leave the other end open so we can connect them together. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a piece of wire. I've cut mine 3 inches as I've said, and I am going to begin by going 1 inch down on this wire. Just kind of guess, right around 1 inch. And I am going to get you a little closer here and rearrange my camera. And once I have put my plier on about 1 inch down the wire, and not very far down the nose of my pliers, because I want these circles to be, or the loops I make to be kind of small, I'm then going to just push that end over the back portion of my plier as I hold them parallel to my bead mat. Then I'm going to turn them vertical into that bend I just created, and then I'm going to bring the wire over the top of the pliers. As I do that, I will turn my wrist a little bit and then bring the wire underneath the prong of that plier there, just like that, so that I have a loop like this. Then I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers, and I'm going to switch hands here. I'm just going to hold onto the loop I created. I'm going to push this extra piece parallel to the pliers like this, and then I'm going to grab my chain nose pliers and I'm just going to wrap 2 full coils around the straight end of the wire here. So 1, 2. I made that loop a little bit bigger than I have made some of my others. You want to kind of figure out where you want to work on your plier so that your loops are consistent. This one's a little bigger than some of my others, but I'm just going to show you how to make the component, and I think it's going to be okay. I'm going to then cut this little tail really close to the coils that I made, and then I am going to take my little needle nose pliers here and just tuck that tail in so it's not pokey. And once I have done that, I'm going to straighten out my wire, and I just have a little wrapped loop like this. And then I am going to build my component by putting on a spacer bead, and then I'm going to put on 4 of my glass beads here, and then a spacer bead just like this, and this is my component. I'm going to straighten it all out because that wire is kind of bendy and I don't want it to be. And then I am going to go to this side of the component and I'm going to grab my round nose pliers. And I'm going to place it just above that spacer bead right there. And I'm going to then bend and making sure that I stay more towards the front of my pliers here because my other loops are smaller than the one I made previously. I want to stay towards the very end here. And then I'm just going to bend the extra length of wire over, and then I am going to move my pliers again vertical into that bend, bring this wire over the top and underneath as I turn my wrist. So I have a loop like this, and I'm just going to leave it like this and set it aside, and I am going to make 4 more components just like this. And then we will make our next component. So I'm going to go ahead and make my 4 or 3 more, and I'll be back and show you the next component. Okay, so I have made my 4 components, and I've just left them open so I can put it all together and I don't have to connect each one at a time. So I'm just going to make all my components and then connect them. So you want to leave with each one open like this, and then we're going to make another component almost exactly the same, except we are now going to use the rondelle and 2 spacer beads. So I'm going to get a piece of wire. I lost my nail on those pliers somewhere. I need to straighten this out. And we are going to do the exact same thing we did before. Go about 1 inch down, and you can go even more if you'd like, simply because we have plenty of wire and this is a smaller unit. So somewhere around there, and then just bend the wire over the top of the plier as you're holding your plier parallel to your bead mat, and then turn your plier vertical, and then make sure you've positioned it so that it's at the same place you were making your other loops so that they're all the same size. Then bring that wire over the top of your plier, and as you do that, turn your hand parallel again to the bead mat and bring that wire underneath the pliers, and you can bring it up a little bit like this so you have a loop in your wire. And then we are going to grab a hold. I'm going to grab a hold of that loop. I'm going to put it in my left hand, bring this wire parallel to my pliers again so that it's the same angle as my pliers are, and then I'm just going to start to wrap it, and I'm going to wrap 2 full coils around the longer portion of the wire, exactly like I did with the other components, just like this. Now I have 2 full coils. I will cut this very close and then tuck in the tail. And sometimes it helps if you hold your loop with your other pliers to get your tail tucked in, but that worked okay. So then I'm going to put on here, try to straighten out my wire a little. I'm going to put on a spacer bead a rondelle, and a spacer bead. Now, I've told you only to make 4 of these components simply because I'm making just one side of the necklace because I've already made the other side. So in reality, you're going to make 8 of these, so you'll have both sides of your necklace. So unless you want to just make one side at a time, make 8 of these components, and then you will make 6 of these components. So let me bring you forward here and show you. We are just going to leave these open. Also, grab the pliers. I'm going to place them on my plier, place the wire on my plier, that rhymes, in the same place I've been using, so I get the same kind of loop. And I'm just going to bend it over the top of the plier while I'm holding the plier parallel to the bead mat. Turn my wrist so that my plier is now vertical, and then I'm going to bring this wire over the top, and as I do that, I will turn my wrist parallel to the bead mat again. Now, if you get it a little bent like I did, you can just grab and straighten it out. Grab your chain nose or your flat nose and straighten it out. And just leave it open like this, and go ahead and make 6 of these in total, and we'll be back. Okay, so now that I finished those components, and you can see, like I said, I'm only making 3 because I've already made half of my necklace. You will need 6 of those. And now we're going to make our next component, and we're going to use 2 of the purple glass, 2 of the spacer beads, and 1 of the frosted beads. So get another piece of wire and do exactly the same thing I've been showing you. You will go down your wire about 1 inch, bend it over the top of your plier, turn into that bend, and then wrap the wire over the top. Turn until you bring that wire underneath the plier and you have a loop like this. And let me see if I can get in this camera a little bit better. Sorry, I'm struggling with it a little bit today. And we're just going to put the plier on here, bring that wire parallel to the plier, and this is soft enough wire. I can turn it with my fingers, but I'm going to switch my hands, but I really like the tightness of using a tool, so I'm going to go ahead and grab and just make sure you make 2 complete coils, and then cut the excess off as close as you can and tuck in the little piece that's sticking out. Then grab, oops, I just bent my wire all up. Let's see if I can straighten that out halfway decently. Don't know what happened to my nylon nose pliers. They grew legs, I guess. And I have like 3 pairs, but you know, can't find one of them. So then a spacer bead, 1 of my purple rondelles, 1 of my 8mm rounds. Those could even be 10mm. You know, I ordered 8 and I put 8 on the thing, but I want to see if those are actually 8 because they seem bigger than that to me. Oh, they're 8. No, they are 5, 10. They're 10. They're 10mm round. So I was thinking that they looked a little too big to be 8. So on your things that I wrote 8mm, they're not. They're 10. So let's go ahead and put the other crystal and then the other spacer bead. And again, you're just going to close it halfway by placing the plier on. You also want to pay attention. You can always turn your loops, but you want to kind of pay attention to which way your loop is. Here, my loop is vertical, so I'm going to bend it this way so that I can, or actually this way, sorry, so that I can have my loop end up the same way. So I bent it over the back portion of the plier, not the front. And then move your hand vertical and bring the wire around. Turn your hand parallel as you bring the wire around. Straighten everything up and that's what you should have. And you are going to make 6 of those. So go ahead and make those, or excuse me, 4 of those. Go ahead and make them, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have all my components made for one side. Now, I'm going to show you, I already made this side here. I'm going to make the other side exactly the same way. So how we're going to lay this out, you want to lay out 2, since you have not made yours already. You will lay out 2 of them, make 1, and then go make the other side. So we're going to start with one of the purple units, and then we will have a rondelle unit of the geometric rondelle one. I have one of those units, and then we'll have a purple unit, and then we'll have one of our frosted bead units, and then we will have a rondelle, a purple unit, or excuse me, another one of the frosted units. So we're going to go purple, rondelle, purple, frosted, rondelle, frosted, and then purple. I'm sorry, you guys, my brain isn't really here today. As you can tell, then we're going to do purple with this one, and then rondelle, and then purple. So this is what this will look like. Let me straighten it out and see if I can get you in a little bit. Well, I think if I go in, you won't be able to see it all. So this is how you want to lay out: purple, rondelle, purple, frosted, rondelle, frosted, purple, rondelle. Okay, once purple. You get both of your sides laid out, then we're going to start connecting them. So we can just pull from our layout and know that we have them in the order we want them in. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up the first one, and the open side, we're just going to open a little bit more. So I'm going to straighten my loop, and then just by, adjusting it, and then I'm going to grab the open part of the loop and just open it a little bit more. Then I'm going to slide it onto the closed loop on the next component, just like that. And then I'm going to hold on to this with my pliers. I think I want to use my smaller ones. So hold on to that little loop. Bring your excess piece up parallel to your plier, and then you can just start to wrap it. I wrap it a little bit with my fingers just to get it started, and then I begin to wrap it the rest of the way with my pliers. And I'm going to make 2 complete loops, or coils, around that. And I'm going to cut off the excess. And then tuck in the tail. Just like that. Now we will do that same thing with the next component. So we will grab the next component. We're going to open up this one that's left open here, and we're going to just lift it a little bit from the loop side, pick up the next component on the closed side, slide it down into that open loop, hold on to the open loop with your pliers the best you can, and then begin to turn it. I just turn it a little bit, and then I grab my pliers and turn it the rest of the way, just so I get a nice tight loop and everything's held in place. And then I take 2 complete coils, and then I will cut off the excess. And tuck down the little piece left. And we'll just continue doing that all the way down until you have them all connected. Now, the thing about connecting things like this, connecting units like this, is sometimes you can get your little loops bent, and like this one's in a funny little angle. Let me see if I can get you real close and show you what I mean. It's kind of a funny angle, so I can just take my little pliers and straighten it up. And even once I do that, sometimes this type of connection will kink a little bit. And of course you can unkink it, no problem. It just kind of does, it kind of gets stuck. And then you have to straighten it out a little bit when you put it on. If you don't like that, if that's bothering you, then you can close both ends of your components and attach them together with a jump ring. Of course, then you have an open jump ring, which can be weak. And you also have more length to your necklace if you're going to do that. However, if you don't like the way that they kind of get stuck together, then that's the way to solve that issue. So I'm just going to continue. I'm going to lift the end of this loop here. I'm going to slide this one down and wrap this one. And I am just going to continue doing that till I have all my loops or all my components put together, and we'll be back. Okay, on my very last loop, I'm just going to go ahead and close this one without sliding anything into it. You should end up with one loop that's still open, and I am just going to grab a hold of that loop with my chain nose pliers and bring this up parallel, grab my other pliers, and start to twist it around. And this loop I had made a little bit far away, so I'm going to have to go more than 2. That was the first one I made that was kind of funky. So I'm going to do that. And tuck this in like I've been doing. Maybe cut that a little closer. If I can. I might not be able to. Tuck that in, and then I'm going to have to straighten out my unit because I just messed it all up. You don't want to handle it too roughly, because if you do, you'll bend that little wire inside your unit and it'll be all weird looking. Of course, wire is pretty friendly. You can straighten it back up. So that's what I have done. And now I have 2 of these. I'm going to go ahead and put my other end of my clasp on this one. So I have the round end on this one. I'm going to put the straight end on this one by opening one of my 6mm jump rings here. And I'll just open it up. And pop it on there. And close it. Just by twisting your jump rings. Don't pull them open. Twist them and twist them closed. Now, and I'll show you closer for the true beginners when I do the bottom ones here. But I have noticed, well, maybe I do. I have a couple of good ones here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to connect our pendant onto these ends here with a little bit bigger jump ring so we can put some dangles on. Of course, you can use little smaller ones if you're not going to dangle the way I am. It's up to you. However, what we want to do is we want to open one of these jump rings, and I will show you. So here is where my jump ring opens, right there. I'm going to place my pliers on one side, and then, where's my flat nose? And then I'll place the other pair of pliers on the other side, and just twist it like that. So it's open. Now I'm going to put my pendant on here and one of my lengths of beads that I just put together on here. And then I'm going to close it the same way I opened it. Shimmy it a little bit so you work hard in it. Make sure it's closed tightly, and that's what you should have, just like that. Now you're going to do the same thing with the other side. Give myself a little bit more room to work here. So again, I'm going to just place my pliers on here on either side of the opening, twist it open, grab the chain I made, put it on my pendant, and close it. Okay, now this is what you should have. This is what this should look like. And you can see I have fairly decent sized jump rings on here, so that what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect two hearts together. So I've already got two hooked together, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do this. Of course, it's not difficult, but just in case someone says, hey, I don't know, we're going to take one of the smaller jump rings and we're going to open it the same way I showed you opening the other ones. We're going to put that onto one of the heart charms on the loop on top, and then we're going to close it. So just close that jump ring in camera. Let's see. Oh, I got my line up. Let's get a little closer here. Let's get that out of the way and close this. Now these little jump rings are not quite as hefty as my other ones, so they take a little bit more manipulation there. So that's what I have. It's just one jump ring on this loop here. Now I am going to grab another jump ring and I'm going to put it on the jump ring that I just put on, and I am going to drop another heart on it, on that new jump ring. I've got to open that a little more. Okay, so I have dropped the heart on the jump ring that I put into the previous jump ring, and now I'm going to connect it to the front part of this pendant right here. So when you lay this down, you will see that the jump rings will lay up and down like this, verticals. So you want to go towards what you want the front of your pendant to be, and then put it on that side of the jump ring and then close it. And then we're going to do the same thing again. Connect your jump rings. Put your hearts on your jump rings like this. So I have a jump ring on a heart and then a jump ring on this heart connected together. I'm going to grab one of them. So exactly the same thing I just did, except for one of the jump rings is closed at the moment. I'm going to open it if I can here. Oh, come on, where are you? There you are. Same configuration, exactly. And I'm going to now connect it to this loop right here, the loop that I made for my component. I'm going to put this jump ring right into that loop. I hope I didn't make it too small. Okay, come here. It's late at night, guys. My mom is resting and I'm trying to do a tutorial. She's sleeping, but I'm tired, so I apologize. There. So I got it on that little link there, and then I'm going to close it. See if that'll actually dangle correctly. Since I made that loop a little bit tighter than on the other side, let's see if that's going to do what I want it to do. Yeah, it is. It's going to dangle fine. Come on. Okay, so what will happen with this is that these will dangle over the front really nicely and make a really pretty little heart-like embellishment on the front. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to attach to the bigger jump ring, and then to the loop on the first component, and we'll be back. Okay, so I wanted to show you, I'll let my camera clear up here. I wanted to show you, this is basically what it's going to dangle like. It's very difficult for me to show you a dangle because, of course, I'm holding it horizontal and it needs to be vertical so you can see the dangle. But that's basically, they cluster really pretty the way we put them on around the front of the neck of the pendant here. And let me back off and show you the necklace. Clean up my bead mat a little bit and lay this out. And this is what I mean about the kinking. They like to do weird things when you make components this way. And that's just, they just do that. And a lot of times I won't connect them directly together like that. I will put a jump ring in between because of the fact that it does do that. But I wanted it to be just more secure and just components hooked together. So that's why I've done it this way. But every time I do it this way, I think, gosh, I should put a jump ring in there. So anyway, not a big deal. You just shake it loose and it's fine. But it just depends on your personal preferences. Yes, indeed, Gina. Okie dokie artichokes. Here we go. That's what that looks like. It's a really pretty little necklace. I think it turned out really pretty. I'll try to put it on a neck model or something. We'll see how far I get with my photographs. I may just have to lay it out because a lot of times when I put it on a neck model, it's too many gigabytes or whatever for the thumbnail for the video. Anyway, this is a really simple design, really fast, really easy to get you started with your treasure bag. I'm hoping I could make a few more, but it's hard to say. At this point, I can't promise you, but I will try very hard. Thanks, everybody. I hope you like it. See you later. Bye-bye.